All right, guys. Welcome to another podcast. This is Let's Have a Conversation. I'm Christian Wiggins with two guests here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to start with...
Hi, I'm Leif.
Sadiel here.
All right, and Leif and Sadiel, we're going to be talking about religion as far as...
Controversial.
Yeah,
Topics.
so basically, the one common misconception about religion is the Muslim religion. And since we have a little bit of an expert here because he is Muslim himself, and he's not one of those teenagers who's like, I'm Muslim because of my parents, but he really knows things. So, Leif, the one thing I hear about Muslim is that they're extremists. All Muslims are extremists. They're all terrorists, and they all should get out of this country. Those are quotes. Those are not.
He's trying so hard not to be offensive right now. He's looking at him like,
Hey, these are quotes. These are things that I'm hearing, and honestly, one of the things that I know that's a common misconception is that not all Muslims are extremists and all that stuff.
they're not.
Oh shit! All right, you tell me.
Dude, it's so fucked though, because every time you go to like an airport and there's like a Muslim getting on your plane with like a hijab on, you see everybody just like sweating, just like staring at them.
They're
like,
sweating, staring at them. Yeah, that's the thing. It's really like when you're Muslim, you kind of, especially if you if none of your family members wear headscarves and you're not really it's not really obvious that you're Muslim.
Yeah.
You kind of have to pick and choose when you speak Arabic. If you speak Arabic, when you talk about religious stuff. Because then old Mary Sue, she's going to see you, boarding the plane. She's going to tell the pilot that you have a bomb or something. They're going to search you, kick you off the plane or something. Because some old white woman or something like that. But I don't know. It's just, you really do have to pick and choose when you speak Arabic, when you talk about religion, and how open you want to be with your religion, with people that you know on a normal basis, and even strangers.
Right.
Yeah, because people see like a Muslim getting on a plane and they're like, next stop, the Pentagon.
He's trying so hard not to laugh about it.
It's just so fucked.
It's fine, bro. It is. It's messed up, but
it's so messed up.
It's just media. It's just how our country is right now. It's just the media.
But how do you feel about that? You can't really talk Arabic in certain areas.
Situations.
Yeah.
I mean,
airports and stuff like that. I don't know.
Y'all really sticking with the airport.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing that I know for a fact.
That's the one thing.
Yeah.
And it's it sucks. Obviously,
yeah.
It sucks that's something I have to be aware about, and that I have to be aware about how other people may view my religion.
Right.
But what can I do about it? It's just like I said, it's the media.
Right.
I just kind of have to deal with it. I kind of have to understand, where some of these people come from. Even if it's a point of ignorance, I have to understand that some of it is ignorance. Some of these people legit do not understand any of this.
Yeah.
Some of these people, they get told by Fox News or whatever, they only watch one news source or go to one website, and they get told this stuff from this website, and they never take the time to actually look up anything or learn about the religion.
Okay. I feel like it's just all media in general, because CNN will be like, oh, look at this poor man getting shot, and you see a suicide vest on him, he's unarmed man gets shot because he's a Muslim and he has a suicide vest on, and
well it depends. Certain media
they're too extreme.
Both sides of the media are insanely extreme.
Yeah.
So you have your liberal side that's like, oh, there's no extremists, you guys are so racist. Yeah. And you have your kind of conservative side that says all of you are terrorists, get out of my country.
Exactly.
There's no middle ground. Yeah. That's the worst part about it. It's you do have to acknowledge that there are extremists just acknowledge that not everybody is an extremist as
Right.
opposed to.
But
you know.
wouldn't you say that the middle ground will be within your religion because they know the difference? Like there's extremists and then there's
But like my religion knows that, but that's not the main demographic of the world.
Yeah,
the main
yeah,
demographic
right.
isn't Muslims.
yeah,
I'm talking about the rest of the world that isn't Muslim,
Yeah.
especially the Western world and mainly parts of like Eastern Asia. Because Eastern Asia, if you guys didn't know this, they really hate Muslims,
Oh yeah.
oh, I didn't
especially
know.
in China. China hates Muslims more than anything else.
More than pollution.
They're basically in like internment camps for Muslims
Are
that
you
they
serious?
send Chinese Muslims
That's
to.
ridiculous.
Wow.
A lot of people do not know about that
No,
stuff.
I did not.
You never heard
Is,
about that
is that
stuff.
why they call you guys Middle Easterns? Because like technically you guys are Asians, right?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, it is in the eastern hemisphere of the world, and like we were talking about earlier, you know, look at like Palestine, look at Iraq, Iran, all of those countries in that area. They're kind of, in terms of the eastern hemisphere of the world, you know, they're kind of in the center, you know.
Right.
They're kind of the center point of Asia, and, you know, Russia and Africa and all of these parts. It's kind of the center, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
Everyone's like, I don't want that area to be a part of my.
yeah.
Well, that's why you see so much Western intervention in those areas.
Yeah,
is
it's right
because
in
of
the
that.
middle.
It's because it's right in the middle. It's
Yeah.
The cultural
they're
melting
good
pot.
areas to you know have your country be in and have
Yeah.
have trade go through. They're good like middle ground areas in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a lot of natural resources.
Yeah, they do.
So like how does Muslim, like, okay, so when you think of Muslim, what do Muslim people generally look at? Like, do they look at the race? Do they look at, okay, he's also Muslim, he's a part of my people and all that other stuff, or is it
I don't think it's so much like race or where you come from specifically. You know, if you're Muslim, you're Muslim.
yeah.
It doesn't really matter where you're from. However, I will say that some Muslims, especially the more like extreme or the more devout Muslims, they do sort of look down upon those who aren't as devout or
Right.
don't practice the religion. Like they believe in it, but they're not practicing.
Right.
They do look down upon it, but in terms of race and, you know, culture, where you're from, that's not really a big deal. You know, that's why you have Pakistani Muslims. Yeah, there's even Indian Muslims.
White
you know,
Muslims.
white, Iranian. There's Asian, and if you look at the U.S., you know, they all come to the same church. It's not like where there's predominantly black churches,
Right.
and there's white churches that are Protestant, and this and that and this and that, and, you know, Korean churches. It all sort of conglomerates, or they all sort of converge into the same areas, and it's kind of like a brotherhood. But like I said, it's not about your race or where you're from.
Right.
It's about how devout you are, and some people take that really seriously, which is the worst part.
Right.
Too serious.
Too seriously, way too seriously.
So like, is there an umbrella where, like, you know, in Christianity there's Catholic, Christian, Mormon, what else is there? There's Jehovah Witness and all that stuff.
There's a lot of different, you know, branches of Christianity, but in terms of like looking at it from an Islamic standpoint, you really have the two main groups are Shia and Sunni.
Right.
Yeah.
And you do have some smaller groups located, you know, Afghanistan, Iraq, smaller groups
Right.
located throughout these countries, but those are the minority. You mainly have those two groups. Sunni is what I am, and that's the majority of Muslims, and that is the one that technically came before Shia.
Right.
And then you have Shia, which is primarily in Iran. It's mainly people from Iran who practice that. They're different in certain ways. I wouldn't know exactly how I could describe it to you.
Maybe a little bit more hardcore.
I wouldn't say more hardcore. In some aspects, yes. Like in a lot of Iran, you know, women must wear headdresses or they must wear hijabs. Meanwhile, like in a lot of other countries, Arab countries, it's at the point where, you know, at the current moment, headscarves are not like a must.
Right.
It's not a must-have thing for women
Yes.
to wear.
It's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement, but I feel like in a lot of Iran, and this might not be all of it, but in a lot of it, based on Shia beliefs, you know, that's still something that is happening. And I think it's more about following what the Prophet Muhammad did, like, and trying to do as he did, as opposed to following the belief set which is laid out in the Quran. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you'd actually have to have someone who's Shia, someone from Iran
So is it
who
like
is Shia.
Right.
is it like more hardcore like Sharia law?
No, it's not Sharia law. I feel like Sharia law, that's one of those things that's kind of blown out of proportion.
Right.
Most places do not use that as a legal system or as a means of conducting their government.
Yeah, like theocracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most places understand sort of the flaws in it and how not all of that can apply to a modern day society. Because
Yeah.
if you did apply all of it to modern day society, then you wouldn't have a society. Everybody should be killed.
Yeah.
Everybody should get out of here. And that's the same thing with Judaism and Christianity. If you applied every aspect of what they say you should not do,
Right.
how could we live? How could 90% of the population of the world live? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, it would be like North Korea.
It'd be like North Korea. Everybody has to do this at a certain time in the day. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't marry this person. You can't be gay. You can't do that. That applies from all religions,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people fail to understand that there are some places, some small villages and some parts of these countries that are behind in terms of development and do practice with these sets of laws. But there's also some areas in Africa where they are behind
Yeah.
and they do practice with some outdated belief sets. Same thing in Asia in some areas,
Right.
especially if you look at mainland China. Some of the practices there, like they'll buy wives, who've escaped North Korea or other countries. Those women will be trafficked and sold to
That's
mainland,
disgusting.
Chinese farmers.
Right.
And that's backwards too. But is that all of China? You know what I mean? Is that all of Africa that has some beliefs that are sort of behind our modern day systems? No,
Right.
it's just small areas.
Yeah, you can't categorize people.
It's not the majority of people. Yeah, you can't categorize everyone like that. And I think that's the thing with Sharia law is there's some places that are way behind and they stick to a strict rule set that follows it, but 95%, 95% of the population is not practicing that.
Right.
Look at any Middle Eastern country. Most women choose not to wear, headscarves or hijabs, whatever you'd like to call it. Most women choose not to wear those. Most people smoke cigarettes, even though that technically is something you shouldn't do.
Right.
People smoke there like 10 times as much as they smoke here. Everybody smokes there. They're less developed countries. I remember I was walking out and I went to the it's called a Dukan. It's kind of like a corner store. There was a 5-year-old buying cigarettes. I swear to God. And that's like, it seems weird looking at it from our standpoint.
Yeah.
But if you look at the U.S. 70, 80 years ago, if you look at the U.S. at any time, kids were able to buy cigarettes at one point in the
Yeah.
U.S. These
Yeah.
countries are still behind in terms of development. They're still developing countries. And it seems that a lot of people in the West don't understand that these are developing countries, that the West has sort of
Right.
influenced negatively and caused them to be developing slower
Right.
than our countries. So these countries still have to develop to the point where they'll reach, the standards of the West in a way.
Modern day society.
Of modern day society. Like, I'm not 18, I'm not the legal age to smoke in Jordan, but I could go buy a pack of cigarettes. 5-year-old could go buy a pack of cigarettes, And these people who are selling them to the 5-year-old, they're not selling it because they want the 5-year-old to smoke, but they gotta make money too.
Yeah.
When you're living in poverty, you're gonna take any money. You're not gonna say no. Get out of here, kid. When the kid's offering you money for a pack of cigarettes, you're not gonna do that.
It's not like
Right.
the U.S.
It's not like the
Where
U.S.
they're like,
where
"Get outta here."
where people, they make enough money to where they can have that moral compass as to what they're selling.
Yeah.
It's not like that
Right.
over there. People's, like I was saying, because I kind of went off onto a
No,
tangent.
you're good.
But it's just, it's not as developed over there as it is here, and that is kind of at fault from the West. But also, I just feel like it just needs more time over there to develop a little more.
But like, how developed do you think the U.S. is though? Because there's still so many different aspects of like, okay, yeah, that country's not developed, but we're also not developed in certain things too. Like, let's say for instance, like, we don't trust all Muslims because of certain Muslims, what they did, or we don't trust like all like Hispanic people or whatever, not including the Caribbean countries, because those get a pass for some reason. If you're from South America, you know, it's like,
It's different.
yeah,
than
it's
being
like
Mexican.
yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, listen, like, you're Mexican, don't come here. You know, like
Oh, but you're Brazilian. Oh yeah.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
chill, you're Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
You know, you're good, but and you're Puerto Rican. So
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
what we're
yeah.
talking about in
Yeah.
terms of that with Hispanic people. But I feel like the U.S. is developed economically, so you reach a point, in my opinion, and feel free to interject at any time if you have a differing opinion. But you reach a point where you're developed economically, and then you start to develop culturally.
Right.
I think that's what's sort of happening in the U.S. is it's now not so much economic or like standard of living so much, because most people do have a good standard of living here. You know, vast majority, I'd like to say at
Yeah.
least. You know, it's not so much focusing on that; it's focusing on our moral aspects. And people
Yeah.
are kind of pushing for different things than they were in the past.
Yeah.
People are pushing for more rights for certain different groups. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, it's more of trying to grow economically. But the thing you're also seeing about the Middle East, which is interesting, as opposed to the U.S., which mainly focused on economics and standard of living, it's kind of both at the same time. As the standard of living is increasing in the Middle East, so does the cultural aspect. So does the the acceptance of people who are not, exactly the same as you.
Right. Yeah, so how do you feel, Sadio, as a Puerto Rican man growing up in the United States?
Do you think that applies to you?
Yeah, I
To
know.
you in any way?
I mean, it wasn't so bad for me because I just lived on. If I took an SAT, they'd be like, are you Puerto Rican? And I'm like, yeah. And then they'd be like, all right, are you white, black, Pacific Islander, Hawaiian, or Alaskan? And I'm like, hold up, what? I'm like, are you an Eskimo? And I'm like, where's Hispanic? Like, what do I mark? So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm white. I don't know, because I'm not black. I'm not Pacific Islander.
Right.
I'm not an Eskimo. Like, so I'm like,
So do you feel that they're quick to categorize you as white, even though that's not what you would fall under?
yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of confused because every time that as a kid I would get that, I'm like, what do I mark? Like, I had to have a talk with my mom over it. I'm like, Mom, what am I?
How did that go?
And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, so every time I get an SAT, it says white, black, Pacific Islander, Native American, like Eskimo. I don't know what to mark. And she just looks at me and she's like, just put white. And I'm like, okay.
You ever thought about like filling out the other? You know, like there's a other circle, so just like
There is no other circle.
There was
Not
no
anymore?
other circle for you?
No.
oh
There
yeah.
are now, I thought.
Yeah, no, I had other
Dude, I
when
never
I
had a
w-
freaking
Well,
other.
where did you go to school when you were younger?
yeah
I'm talking about my SAT.
yeah
You're
high
talking
school.
about on your SAT. You
Yeah,
didn't
that's
have
high school,
Hispanic?
right?
No, okay. So it would say, "Are you Puerto Rican?" And I'm like, or like Hispanic or some sort. And I'm
Okay.
like, yes.
But then you have to put down
Okay.
what type of
So
Hispanic
first,
you
yeah,
are. Though.
first it would
Yeah.
be like,
Okay.
"Are
Because
you
that's not
Hispanic?"
race.
And I'm like, yes. Are you Puerto Rican? And I'm like, yes. And then they'd be like, are you white, black, Pacific Islander? And I'm like, why is there no Hispanic here?
So they
I
would
guess
try to
I-
figure out like what type of Hispanic you were.
Yeah,
but none
because-
of them applied to you.
Hispanic is
Well-
not a race, though. That's what they're
No,
saying
okay.
basically.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out if
It-
are you a white Hispanic, are you a black Hispanic, are you
Do you consider being Hispanic as a race or not? What do you consider it as?
I mean, honestly,
Because
It's-
I
it's-
don't see you as white.
exactly. I don't see myself as white.
You don't look white.
I mean, I'm
Well-
like the whitest Hispanic out there.
yeah, I was
But
like-
he doesn't look
Yeah,
I don't
no, that's
look
true.
white.
Yeah.
white in terms of how you talk and how you act.
um,
You are kind of, but do you view yourself as white?
me,
Do you think you're white?
I mean, I just say I'm Puerto Rican.
But
Like,
do you-
never have I ever, like, besides an SAT test, said I am white. I've said I'm Hispanic. I've said I'm Puerto Rican. I have never said I'm white, black, Pacific Islander, Eskimo, or any of that. So,
I see.
See, it's easy for the Philippines because, like, for Filipinos, right? They are Pacific Islander, but also Hispanic. So they could put Hispanic and Pacific Islanders because they're Asian Hispanic. They're mixed, right? For people like Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and all that other stuff, they put Hispanic, and then it's like, well, what color are you? Like, like, well, is there a brown color? Like, like there's no brown color. There's, like Hispanic. Are you white? Well, are you closer to white or are you closer to black? Basically, that's what it is. And there are black people
I'm like lighter
who are,
skin. I'm like, I guess
he's
I'm white.
He's white, yeah. But like, now see, that's an interesting question because I never see any like Arab on there. Do you guys have to consider yourself like
we
white?
have to consider ourselves white on there.
Yeah.
Which I don't consider myself white. I know I look white. Based on my skin tone.
Pretty pasty.
But I'm not treated white.
Yeah, no,
I don't get the same treatment as white people do. Am I wrong though?
I'm not gonna lie.
Asking for his privilege.
Yeah.
Where is your
am I wrong
card?
though? Listen.
No, I'm not gonna lie because the first time I met you, I was like, "Oh, this kid's definitely not white."
Why is that?
Because of your hair and also like when you started speaking and like your just the way you portray yourself, I was like, "Oh, he's definitely somewhere from the Middle East."
Yeah.
Like because okay, I'm not because the way Middle Easterners portray themselves, they're proud of themselves. They're proud. Like also the curly hair doesn't say I'm white. The curly hair says, am I wrong? Like
no, you're not wrong.
Yeah, like it doesn't say it. And like you're proud to be Middle Eastern, but also at the same time, like the fact that you have to put down your white, but you don't get the white privilege.
Where's my privilege?
Where's your privilege card?
America, explain, okay?
America, explain. Where's my privilege when I put down white?
I can just tell off like your facial structure. It's different than
No, I definitely have that, but most people would just assume naturally that I'm white. I think.
Nah.
Well, I guess they're basing it off your color though, like
Off the color of the skin.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they base it off of is the color of your skin. But the thing is, the way someone gets treated, who's Arab and has white skin, is completely different than someone who is Caucasian.
Yeah,
Wait,
It's
true.
completely different. So why should I be treated as though I am Caucasian and I have the advantages of a Caucasian person?
Yeah. Dude, at school, there was one time when I was called white.
By who?
These Indian kids
Oh.
at my high school.
Christian's about to get in.
When I was going to high school, these kids were like, "Sodio, what are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Puerto Rican." And they're like, "What? We always thought you were white." And I looked at them and I'm like, "Are you stupid?" And they're like, "Why are you saying that?" And I'm like, "Look at my skin."
Look at me in general. Do I look like that
at
to
me.
you?
Like, I don't look white at all.
Yeah, disclaimer,
No.
nothing against white people.
No, we're-
No.
A lot of my friends are white. I have white friends.
Listen, I love white people. I dated a white girl.
I once had a white friend. One
Listen,
time.
sometimes I venture to the other side. Sometimes I pull out the cheese platter
I like-
and such.
Yeah, no,
I like to dip my toes.
we're talking from the race perspective. We're not talking from the, but also so like. Thanks for the joke.
We're trying to keep it lighthearted.
Oh yeah, no, it's good, it's good.
You know what? Podcast was white people, so it's all good.
Okay,
First podcast
sweet.
with white people.
Trying to
Yeah,
mix it up. Cultural melting pot.
It's literally called Let's Have a Conversation, not Let's Have a Conversation with
About
minorities.
Oh, I thought you meant the first podcast was about white people.
No,
let's delve into the every aspect of Caucasian
it's like,
life.
Let's have a conversation.
All right, hold
White
on.
people edition.
Let me make sure my audience understand. Listen, audience. For you guys to understand, Let's Have a Conversation has literally no race at all. We're talking to everybody about their perspective on life.
So you hate minorities.
Oh yeah, because I don't have you know what?
So you don't think my race is important?
You hate minorities. That's what it is. It's because of this.
I'm black, dude. I am a minority.
Okay. It's different. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not black. You're Caribbean.
You're
Okay.
Caribbean. Okay. You have less minority points than me. Okay. Okay, you have less minority points. Therefore, I'm more of a minority than you.
You know, yeah, you got
Okay.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, you got that. You're right. A lot of white people like to go to the Caribbean. So, I mean, hey.
Shoot.
Yeah, but did you ever like? Because for me, I'm not even gonna lie. If I called you white, you were like, "Are you stupid?" I would be like, "Bro, speak Spanish then." Like, did you ever like?
Really?
Yeah, I would be like, "Bro, speak Spanish then." If
To
you're Puerto
him?
Rican.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would do that.
Does
I
he,
would
okay,
do
does
that.
he look white to you?
No, he never did. I knew he was like. I even went up to him and I was like, "Hey, are you Puerto Rican?" And he went, "How did you know?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Bro, I know Puerto Ricans
This
because
is-
I'm from New York."
This is gonna sound weird, but like, I can tell exactly what is that?
Anyways,
Yeah.
I can tell Okay. I know a lot of people like they have trouble like pinpointing where people are from like
Right.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know why I never had that problem.
Me neither.
Especially like with Asian people, I understand. Like a lot of people have trouble pinpointing where they're from, but I've always been able to do that.
Right.
I don't know if it's just like the way I am because I'm from a different culture. I can pick out those facial features of someone from the Caribbean versus someone who's straight up from Africa versus
Right.
someone who's Korean versus someone who's Chinese.
Right.
I don't know if it's just because I was born into that kind of mindset. But,
Right. No,
but I
I
just
mean,
never understood that.
I mean, no, it is. Yeah, it's kind of just like if you're from or if you grew up like with a different culture than like white, because like most of the time white is learning. Okay, blacks are Africans. Hispanic are basically from South America. Like,
nah, dude.
Yeah.
Every Hispanic is
You're wrong.
Mexican.
Every
Yeah,
Hispanic
yeah.
is Mexican.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
It's like,
I
we took an airplane here.
that's 100%
people-
true.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, people see me and they're like, "Are you Mexican?" And I'm like, "No, I'm Puerto Rican."
That's kind of like, it's like going up to like a Japanese person and calling them Chinese.
Yeah.
It's like when someone asks me if I'm Pakistani, if I'm from
Or-
Pakistan.
Yeah.
People do that.
Or like
Or-
Saudi Arabian. Or
Wait,
something.
was it? I forgot who it was. I don't think it was you.
No, it was definitely not me.
Somebody
Yeah.
said you're Indian, right? I was like, what?
Oh, definitely
Do
not
I even
me.
look like you? I don't.
Okay.
My skin color is so light. There's no way I could be
Okay,
Indian.
awkward
First of all.
situation, awkward story.
Okay.
Okay, so for an entire microeconomics semester, I would talk to this one girl, and we would just walk out of class together, keep talking, blah blah blah. And for the longest time, I was like, she's a little white girl. She's wearing Jesus sandals. Of course she's white.
Okay.
And,
Jesus.
Jesus.
and one time we were just having a conversation, and she's like talking about how her parents are strict and blah blah blah. And I just look her deep in the eyes. Just quiet time. Just stare at her. And I go, "Are you white?" And she goes, "No, I'm Cuban." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Swear to God, whitest girl you will ever see. And she goes, "I'm Cuban." I look at her and I'm like, "How are you Cuban?"
I think that's the craziest thing.
That's like the
you
moment.
can not be white but
See,
look white.
That's the moment when I had to be like I said it. Do you speak Spanish?
What did she say?
She said, "Yeah," and I was like,
Why haven't we been talking in Spanish this whole time?
"No."
Hola mamacita. And it was one of those things.
Yo, honestly, like,
You can call me Papi.
no, it's funny because like, yeah, Sadio has like a transition though because he does have that. Okay, like, listen, I'm a proper Puerto Rican, but when he speaks Spanish, it's like, bro, now you just went from proper Puerto Rican to like ghetto. Like,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
because when he speaks Spanish, he has that like, okay, like Puerto Ricans are known to speak broken Spanish. They don't speak like Spanish. So like they have that like, just like way of
is
speaking.
this?
They
I wish there was a camera to show.
yeah, right. Like
No,
no, but
wait,
they have that way of like, I don't know.
What are you trying to say?
Hey,
You
Sadio,
could
speak.
just say dialect, right?
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was thinking of, dialect.
Can you say, give me corn? in Spanish. I don't know what to tell him to say.
I feel really uncomfortable by that question.
Okay, say I need to use the computer.
Why is this like an interrogation?
Say it.
I mean, no, he doesn't have to say it. I'm just saying.
He has to say it.
Why do I have to say it?
He doesn't
Because I
have
want to hear
say
your
it.
Spanish. I've
I'm-
never noticed it being broken. It sounded good to me.
No, it does. Well, it's
Okay,
not. It's
so-
okay.
It's
So
not broken. It's just different.
yeah, okay. So Spanish is from Spain, right? And then yeah,
It's not from Mexico.
no, it's not.
He was so serious about it. He was so serious about it.
Well, I'm teaching people who are out there like, oh, I didn't know that. You know,
I didn't know that.
there's a lot of
Oh, shit.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of people who are not educated in
Yeah,
that.
if I wanted to say like us in like Spanish from like Latin America and the Caribbean, I'd say nosotros. If I wanted to say it in like Spanish, like from Spain, I'd say vosotros.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. See, you didn't even know there was a difference. See, you're like,
No, I know
well,
about the
Yeah.
I know about that thing.
Yeah, but like there's a change in the word. There's an N at the beginning for the other one, nosotros, and then for the other one is vosotros.
It's vosotros.
Vosotros.
Yeah.
Dude, the Spanish accent comes out whenever I.
See, that's what I'm saying.
No, I've
like-
noticed-
No, like
Yeah.
the Spain Spanish.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whenever
see,
you're
like-
talking to your mom, I can hear the way you talk. It sounds different
yeah,
than most Spanish you hear in Texas. Because
Yeah.
you're in Texas, a lot of it is just the
Okay.
standard dialect that you would hear from Mexican people.
yeah,
That's
From the
thing,
majority
though.
of them.
To us, the Spanish that Mexican people speak sounds broken.
yeah,
Like to us, it
Yeah.
sounds completely off. Like it just sounds really slow. It sounds like they take like 10 seconds to finish a word because we tend to speak really fast.
I have
Yes.
noticed that. Yes.
yeah.
Um,
That's why I
so
knew you
every
was Puerto
time
Rican.
I talk to other people from like South America and Mexico in Spanish, I like take my time while talking. Like I'll try to not rush it like I would with my family. They have a lot of words that aren't commonly used in Spanish.
Mm.
Like, yes, some like I don't actually like really speak Ghetto Puerto Rican because Ghetto Puerto Rican is
Yeah, no, I know ghetto. Yeah, I didn't want to
Like-
say ghetto. I didn't mean to say ghetto. I'm so sorry about that.
like for example.
They speak like basically English with Spanish.
Well, it's not just that. Like,
Yeah,
like if I wanted to say car, I'd say carro. But some Puerto Ricans would say cajo. They'd add like that little like
The
rasp to it.
The-
Yeah, cajo.
cajo.
Instead of saying carro, which is the real way you're supposed to say it.
right.
But that's like kind of like the change between, Puerto Rican things. Or instead of saying cafe for like the color brown, we just say brown. We say brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
What color is that? Brown. Oh,
Brown.
so it's just okay.
Yeah, that's why like growing up as a kid, hearing brown being called cafe
Yeah.
felt like so weird to me because I was
Yeah.
like raised saying brown.
Yeah.
And every time I heard cafe, I'm like, something's off. But really, mine was off. But however, I feel like with the Spanish and the slang that Mexicans use, they completely like substitute words. Like we have like a different way of saying it. They have just completely different words in a lot of other countries. And it's just
Yeah,
their way of
taco.
it's
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Taco is like some other thing somewhere else. Somewhere.
No, in Puerto Rico, taco's a taco.
No. I know. What you're. I'm just saying the word, not the fucking. If you can say it wrong. If you say it wrong, then it's like some bad word in Mexican or some shit.
Oh
It's like,
no, I don't think so.
Just to let the audience know,
Spanish class in Texas.
we're not making fun of any race at all. We're
Oh,
just
I'm
literally.
making fun of every race on the
Yeah,
planet.
yeah. No, he
I
is.
hate Arabs.
Leif is making fun of
I
every.
hate Puerto Ricans.
But-
But we're allowed to say this.
But yeah, we're not making fun of races. We're trying to
Who
let
you hate, Christian?
I hate nobody,
Uh-huh.
That's-
what I thought. Mhm.
dude.
He
Literally,
hates Caribbean.
man, you gonna make me mess around and get like a freaking
strike.
a half black and half white person on this next time, and
I'll
then
douse him up right now.
Like-
Come over.
He has him on speed dial.
it's funny because like, yeah, literally like the first podcast was just all white, and then the second was
Where were you for the first podcast?
I was in it. I
You
was
said
the
it
one.
was all white.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It was mostly white. And I was
So
only,
one chocolate chip.
yeah, one chocolate chip.
A reverse
And then,
Oreo.
and then the second one was my friend who's black, and then now it's you guys who's Hispanic, and
It's the cultural melting
Say
pot.
it. Hold on. Say it, Christian.
Arab.
That was
gotta
as
say-
close as you've gotten. I appreciate
You gotta
it.
say Arab. Arab.
No, it's,
Arab,
is it
damn dirty Arab, camel docking motherfuckers.
is it? What's,
I fucking hate them Muslims. He's over there laughing so hard.
but how is it pronounced though? What's the problem?
Arab.
Arab.
Arab. You got it. He's got it.
I'm calling it Arab.
No, whenever
Yeah,
Arab.
Arabs.
whenever we were in the car on the way here and I heard him say Arab, I was like, I didn't say
No,
anything,
no,
but I
it's
kind of glared at him. I was
Is
like, what the
Arab?
fuck?
Well, I understood because you're like, I thought you were Arab when I was like, I'm Palestinian. You're like, I thought you were Arab. I get it, you know. People don't understand the difference. It's not your fault. And
Okay,
it's not
yeah.
a terrible thing, you know. I'm
Yeah.
not mad at you for
He
it.
doesn't.
I'm glad that you actually asked
Yeah.
about it. You know,
Yeah.
that's better than just living like.
He knows so little about the culture. He doesn't even know how to pronounce it.
I literally don't know
why he
anything.
has-
Yeah.
Puerto Rican,
That's why he has
Puerto
you here.
Rican.
Are you-
Puerto Rican.
Oh, a Puerto Ricano. Margarita.
Hey,
Doesn't
listen,
even
man.
sound anything
Like,
like it.
Yo, pina colada.
that's why I have this podcast. Is for like people like
You wanna
me
learn
and
new-
other
new-
people to
new
learn
things
about.
other cultures and stuff.
Yeah, I like learning new things about cultures, but also for people to understand like where you guys are coming from. You know, as in like, hey, listen, we're not this race. We're this race. We're not an extreme Muslim or whatever.
But people just have
you
to
know.
take your word for it.
Dude,
Because, like, I could actually be a white kid, and he could be a white kid,
Maybe I'm
and
a
you
black
could
kid.
be white, too.
dude, it's 2019.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
It's 2019.
It's 2019.
Nah, they know Christian's
You know what?
not black.
Okay, Christian's the only one that they know the race of.
I'm a little 9-year-old Asian girl.
Well,
That's it.
there's a lot of people that watch
I'm also
this
8
podcast,
years old.
so I don't know if they know.
I'm an 8-year-old Indian boy
8-year-old.
From
I'm
like a
a
small
stay.
village.
from a small village. I work 12 hours a day.
But like,
Okay. Okay. I hauled buckets of hay back and forth to the village for 1 cent an hour. Okay.
but like,
You don't know my struggle, Christian. I'm not done here.
Buckets of hay. What?
Yeah, I hauled buckets of hay.
That
so
was rolls.
I carried 3 at a time, one on here and 2 like that.
so like as an American nation, right? What would you say we have to do better to like, to keep everything just kind of like equal?
Nothing.
Nothing?
America is good because America is great.
Eat something other than hamburgers and hot dogs.
That's the question again.
What do you think America should do to like better educate themselves on,
I mean, first
extreme?
step is getting a better education.
Better education system.
Because
Yeah.
we're ranked pretty low for a first world country.
And I think
Yeah.
they should stop trying to be so politically correct because
Yeah.
that's what's causing people to be so anti-political correct. I think they should just educate people on what stuff is
Yeah.
and not try to be so politically correct about it. Not
Right.
try to like walk on eggshells about different races and different cultures.
Right.
Because that's what's causing this whole group of people who's like, oh, you want me to be politically correct? I'm going to be the opposite.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had
Stop
this-
on the